From South Carolina Public Radio, this is the South Carolina Lead. I'm your host, Gavin Jackson, and this episode was recorded on January 30th, 2026 from South Carolina Public Radio Studios here in Columbia. No snow yet. Snow watch. Be safe. On this episode of The Lead, we look at Governor Henry McMaster's ninth and final State of the State address. We also hear from Hopkins Democratic Representative Jermaine Johnson with the Democratic message, and we got reaction from House Speaker Murrell Smith. Friend of the pod. I mean, he's here. We also look at some House and Senate floor activity over a bathroom bill and a DUI bill, respectively. Also, please check out the Statehouse Gavel at scetv.org/thegavel. It's basically Law and Order. Where Tuesday through Friday, Maayan Schechter and myself bring you recaps, previews, big and small Statehouse moments, meetings, schedule highlights, photos, video, and more. What? Yeah, there's more.
More.
I'll be incorporating some of that work into the pod. God love you. God love you. I love you guys so much. I want to hear from you. 803-563-7169. Give us a shout. Get in the wind down section. AT is back today, guys. We're going to have an exclusive wind down with AT Shirley, podcast producer. So listen in, get some questions ready, and give us a shout at 803-563-7169. The AC is on in this studio. It is cold. I think it's a window right to the outdoors. All right. Governor Henry McMaster gave his ninth and final State of the State address on Wednesday evening before a joint assembly of lawmakers in the House chamber. McMaster became the state's longest-serving governor this time last year, and upon completion of this term, he will have served 10 years in office. Now, that's because he ascended from lieutenant governor to governor on January 24th, 2017, shortly after the U.S. Senate confirmed then-Governor Nikki Haley as President Donald Trump's ambassador to the United Nations. And Haley gave her final State of the State right before she was confirmed, so that's why the governor has had 9. And that was a move by the Trump administration as a thank you to McMaster's early support as the first statewide elected official nationwide to endorse Trump in his first run in this key presidential primary state. Now, looking at the previous 8 speeches, there are consistent themes and topics, but none more central to McMaster's than the new prosperity terminology, which he predicated in 2018 by quoting scripture and encouraging the General Assembly to remain vigilant for economic opportunities, saying, quote, "Be awake, for we know neither the day nor the hour which the moments of opportunity will come," quote. And those opportunities have come. We're talking new investments, expansions of small and major manufacturers, and tens of thousands of jobs alike. In his first term, McMaster would use cumulative investment and job creation figures during his speeches. In 2022, for example, he would say that since January 2017, we've announced 58,800 new jobs and over $17 billion in new capital investment. Well, that tune changed in 2023, shortly after being sworn in for his second and final term, when he could easily point to record-breaking investment and jobs created just in the prior year. We're talking a record-breaking $10.3 billion in investment in 2022 and 14,000 new jobs announced. Now, he spoke of growth and the need to keep up with it by continuing to add additional infrastructure funding. Lawmakers aren't expected to fund McMaster's full $1.1 billion request. Here's the governor.
We've made tremendous progress improving our roads, bridges, highways, and interstates. Today, there are almost $7 billion worth of active projects underway across the state, up from $2.7 billion in 2017. In the last 4 years, we've added an additional $1.4 billion to state budgets for new construction. However, inflation is here. Inflationary construction and labor costs threaten to create crippling delays and busted budgets. It is critical that this year's budget invest an additional $1.1 billion in new surplus money to keep these projects moving and on schedule.
McMaster continued with his call to reduce personal income taxes, something that the Senate is set to take up soon. Now, we didn't hear much fiery language like in 2024 when he said he would fight union infiltration, quote, to the gates of hell, quote. And that was following the International Longshoremen's Association lawsuit against shipping carriers at the Port of Charleston Hugh K. Leatherman Terminal for using non-union state employees to operate cranes, which was in violation of their contract. Now, the ILA staffs the terminal under the 2024 settlement agreement, and traffic is significantly lower than the terminal's capacity.
On tax cuts, we must continue to have them. Until a few years ago, we had the highest personal income tax rate in the Southeast and the 12th highest in the nation. Not anymore. 5 years ago, I signed into law the largest tax cut in state history. As a result, South Carolina taxpayers have kept an additional $1.275 billion of their own money in their own pocket. This year, I have again proposed cutting the personal income tax rate as much as we can, as fast as we can, and as often as we can. And if the General Assembly can find a way to eliminate it altogether, I will sign it the second it arrives on my desk, and that's a promise.
So again, more of a greatest hits, not so much of a yelling at people or calling people out. Kumbaya, collaboration, communication, cooperation. Now, McMaster continued to call for conservation efforts to protect the state's natural beauty and resources as development surges amid record growth. McMaster also reinforced his major policy wins, including raising starting teacher salaries to $50,000.
All of our children must receive an excellent education. Albert Einstein said, a problem can never be solved by thinking on the same level that produced it. He's right. And by thinking big and being bold, we have made some of the most important decisions and investments we've ever made in early childhood, primary, secondary, and higher education in this state. For example, 8 years ago, the minimum starting salary of a teacher in South Carolina, the minimum starting salary was $30,113. And the average salary was below the Southeastern average. I proposed then that we begin raising the minimum starting teacher salary as much as possible each year, with the goal of raising it to at least $50,000 by 2026. That's now. Each year, we raised it. We should keep raising it. This year, we will raise it again, going from $48,500 to $50,500. This will represent a 68% increase since that year 2017. South Carolina's required minimum starting teacher salary continues to exceed that both of Georgia and North Carolina. And ladies and gentlemen, that's good.
He also continued his call for additional raises for law enforcement across the state. Now, supporting law enforcement has always been mentioned in his speeches, as well as honoring the memories of first responders who died in line of duty in the prior year. McMaster did not mention abortion like in previous speeches, but can also take a win for signing into law the state's 6-week abortion ban in 2023. At the end of the speech, McMaster got teared up as he thanked his wife, First Lady Peggy McMaster, for all that she's done.
And there's one more I'd like to thank. A lady who has given her time and energies to protecting the children and animals of our state and to turning the governor's mansion and gardens into a masterpiece of beauty and history for all of our people. I'd like to thank and recognize the best wife, friend, and counselor in the world, my wife of almost 50 years, Peggy Jean McMaster. Stand up, girl. I love you. Lucky man. That's my girl.
Hopkins Democratic Representative Jermaine Johnson, who is also running for the Democratic gubernatorial nomination, gave the Democratic message following McMaster's speech. That's 3 Democrats right there.
Please.
Democrats are chosen by their respective caucus, and they alternate between the House and Senate members who give those responses. Here's Jermaine Johnson.
For 22 years, Republicans have controlled the governor's mansion, the state Senate, and the state House. Over 2 decades of single-party rule, and the results speak for themselves. After all that time, South Carolina remains near the bottom nationally in the areas that most directly affect everyday life. Our state ranks 43rd in education, leaving too many children without the preparation they need to succeed. Our roads and bridges are among the worst in the nation, with unsafe conditions and long delays that affect families, workers, and businesses across the state. And when it comes to public safety, the numbers are deeply troubling. South Carolina's homicide rate is the 6th highest in the country. But those are just the numbers. Think about what this means in terms of how you are affected. Our neighbors are less safe. Our children are worse educated. And our infrastructure is crumbling. So let's talk about it. 22 years of single party rule. If they truly cared about you, they would have done something already. If they truly cared about you, they would have fixed public education. If they truly cared about you, they would have fixed the roads. They would have created a livable minimum wage. They would have fixed our healthcare system. If they truly cared about you, they would have done something. But with all that power, they have done nothing for you and have only enriched themselves.
And this year, we brought back lawmaker interviews in our live coverage of the State of the State. We heard from Democrats and Republicans alike a lot of praise for the governor, including from House Speaker Murrell Smith, who was on the dais with other leaders during the speech. He said the governor's relationship with the legislature has resulted in major accomplishments and growth for the state that also needs to be addressed.
Well, I think he's talking about growth, obviously, in South Carolina, and we're going to have to control our growth and plan for our growth. And those are things, this just started really post-COVID. I mean, people were obviously moving here, but after COVID, it put the transition on steroids. And so we have to make sure that we're preparing South Carolina for the future, but also keeping the fabric of South Carolina. That's what's very important.
And Speaker Smith, when we start talking about preparing for the future, I was just talking to Senator Martin about what he wants to see in the next governor. Obviously, there's the primary coming up. We've talked about this before, but he's talking about keeping the state on this track, on this growth trajectory. How do you do that in his successor? What do you look for? What should people be looking for, in your opinion, on this?
Well, they need to look for someone that's going to follow the mode of governing that Governor McMaster had, and that is trying to work with people and bringing people together, not pulling them apart. And that's very, very good for what the state to continue. And you see the legacy of what he leaves. Just look at last year and what he's done economically with $9.1 billion in capital investment, 8,100 jobs. Our growth rate going 3.1% this year, the highest in the nation, and one of 5 states in which the unemployment rate went down rather than up. So South Carolina is uniquely positioned, and it's about how we govern and how we work with one another and how we continue to do what's best for South Carolina and move South Carolina forward.
And just to get the line moving here, one last question. When you see some of the things that he has laid out for his budget this year and some of his proposals, how much of that is realistic? How much is that accomplishable?
Well, there's a lot of things that we're going to accomplish. We've worked with him throughout these years, and we're going to continue to work with him. And in closing, I want to say, one thing I remember as growing up as a child is the famous line Ronald Reagan asked, how are you better off 4 years than you were 4 years ago? And that is when you look at Henry McMaster, and you look at his 10 years, is South Carolina better off than they were 10 years ago? And that's a resounding yes, and that's a testament to the leadership and ability of Governor McMaster to bring people together and move South Carolina forward.
You can find all of that coverage at youtube.com/@SCETV News. And next up, sticking with the House, a lot of movement in committees in the House this week, moving bills to the House calendar as we are in the all gas, no brakes state of mind right now, folks. Remember, lawmakers are trying to get through as much as possible before the budget debate in mid-March. And after that, things become more difficult to pass due to timing. And then the Senate gets on the budget. And then it's like crossover, but we don't do crossover anymore. Then it's like sine dies 2 weeks away. I mean, it's going to be crazy. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. But to that end, the House took up its first controversial bill of the session, H. 4756, that restricts bathroom usage to a person's biological sex assigned at birth at all K-12 public schools and public colleges and universities, as well as related facilities like sports venues. Debate started Wednesday and concluded Thursday morning due to the State of the State address that evening on Wednesday and cloture being invoked to limit the debate. The bill garnered bipartisan support with a 96-19 vote. Now, this bill codifies a budget proviso that's been on the books since 2024, and an amendment by Charleston Republican Representative Tom Harnett to allow for fully transitioned transgender individuals who've undergone gender reassignment surgery to use their preferred bathroom was defeated. Now, the amendment's defeat, as well as a lack of any enforcement mechanism for this bill, prompted House Minority Leader Todd Rutherford to question the, quote, penis police, quote, and even invoke convicted sex offender former Lexington Republican Representative R.J. May's name. Take a listen.
We have got to figure out how to legislatively solve a problem that we couldn't necessarily figure out another solution to. And so what we're going to create, essentially, are the penis police, who are going to verify that a person who uses the bathroom is using the bathroom of the sex that they were assigned to at birth. And so we're going to take the R.J. Mays of the world and make them happy, because they're going to be able to verify what they saw or what somebody reported to them in a bathroom. I know that you can't use the bathroom. I can't go into the woman's bathroom. Can't do it. But I know if I had gone through the surgery that we had talked about earlier and had fully completed that surgery, and I used a bathroom in a school, and they knew that I was not born that way, that I could create liability for them, I guess. It's kind of not clear in reading all of this how we're going to define penis and what it means if you have one or don't, and what that means for the people that are uncomfortable in that bathroom who should, for the most part, mind their business and shut their stall door.
The bill was amended by Harnett later to require all public school and college and university buildings to have at least one single-user restroom and changing facility. The legislation was sponsored by York Republican Representative Tommy Pope, and in addition to bathrooms, it also requires changing facilities or locker rooms or an overnight dorm sleeping multiple students be segregated by biological sex at birth. Here's Pope.
The balance I see that we tried to strike here today and that we need to strike is I want to respect differences. I want to respect other people's choices. But what I don't want is that those people, those decisions, those choices get forced upon everyone else's children, everyone else's family. And so I think what we've crafted here is a respectful way to give folks, friends, longtime friends, transitioned, whatever the case may be. It doesn't mean I agree with it. But with that being said, it gives them an opportunity to have their respect and to have their privacy while not forcing it on everyone else. Again, it's unfortunate we have to deal with these issues. It's unfortunate that we have to take it so far that it's us versus them, that we can't find commonality. I think we've done this in the bill. I know nobody's ever satisfied unless you write the bill. I can tell you, if I wrote a bill by hand, I probably wouldn't be satisfied with what I wrote. But at the end of the day, we're doing what we need to do to protect, but we're also doing what we need to do to respect.
Let's move over to the Senate, which continued for a second week debate over strengthening DUI laws with its bill S-52. Now, we're apparently getting close to a vote on this measure soon, so stay tuned. The inclement weather at the beginning of the week threw a bit of a wrench in a lot of things, including this debate. The bill seeks to close some loopholes that have helped drivers avoid conviction. For example, the current law requires that there be a complete video recording of an incident involving DUI, including the field sobriety test. So if a suspected drunk driver walks or stumbles out of the frame of the recording, it jeopardizes the case. The bill would change that requirement to substantially complying with filming requirements, for example. This among other things in that bill that would strengthen penalties, especially for multiple offenders. Now, speaking of alcohol, Senate Majority Leader Shane Massey was clear on Thursday that the liquor liability law that took effect at the beginning of this year is not accomplishing its intended goals because the Department of Revenue, which is tasked with administering portions of it, found the requirements to be too complex and confusing. Here's Massey on the Senate floor.
And I'm going to tell you that the initial feedback that the department is getting is that what was passed last year is not going to have much of an impact on the insurance rates. And they are saying that the process that the legislature created was way too complicated. They don't know what it means, which all sounds very familiar to me. but we'll see how this plays out. And but I want to give you a heads up. You know, I said last year that I thought we're going to be back dealing with this issue during this Senate term. What the senator from York and I have been hearing only confirms that we're going to be back during this Senate term on that very issue. Because when the folks out there, when the folks who own the restaurants and bars realize that they went through all that effort and we still didn't address their problem, we're going to hear about it. So I give you that information just to let you know this is coming back. I'll also mention that if you do it the right way, it'll work. And I say that with this piece of evidence. Last week, the Wall Street Journal reported that in the state of Florida, the automobile insurers have asked for the second time to reduce their insurance rates. Right? In Florida, the insurers are asking to reduce their insurance rate, their premiums, 2 years in a row. If you've got the will to do it, and I recognize that we don't, but if you've got the will to do it and you let it work, it will work.
Will liquor liability come back this session? Not likely, due to the time-consuming nature of the debate and several other priorities already being slotted out. Looking forward to the fourth week of session, Massey said that following the DUI bill debate, charter school accountability legislation will be followed by the House's income tax plan and the Senate's proposal to expand the homestead exemption. So we'll have some taxes being debated soon. Expect that to be a long debate as well. Welcome to the wind down section, our little break from the news. We're glad you're here along with A.T. Shire, lead podcast producer.
Hello,
He's
everybody.
back, folks.
I'm here. I'm awake. I'm doing well. Let's just get off. Let's get out in front of it. I have a new baby boy. Mom's good. Caitlin's good. The baby is good. Little hectic birth, okay? Little hectic, but everything is good. Hectic, yeah. He got stuck.
Hello, he's got broad shoulders.
Boy's got broad shoulders. He got stuck coming out, but they got him out.
But it was quick.
It was 15 minutes. And his name, I'll dox him right now. His name, Dominic. His little Dominic. Well, little big Dominic. We got little baby Rena. We got big little baby Dominic. Okay. Yeah. He's huge. Okay, 9 pounds. Jeez. Probably should have been C-sectioned. And it's not fat. He's just large scale. It's been very, very crazy.
Of course, I can imagine. Well, we're glad to hear that. At is that like were you 8-9 pounds? Like, do you know if this is a family thing?
I was like a 7-pound baby. Mm-hmm. I was a normal sized baby. It also doesn't correspond to anything because on Caitlin's side, her littlest older brother, he was 10 pounds and change.
Whoa.
So like this guy could be tiny by being big. I don't know because it's in the genes. You know what I mean? Yeah. So big little Dominic. It's great. We're lucky that Rena is such a good kid.
Just going to ask you how that's going.
There were times where she goes like, oh, okay, so if I scream, I get attention. I see, okay? But also she's sleeping through the night, and it's not disrupting her in that way. And if she wasn't, I think that Caitlin and I would be going through it a lot worse. But it's really good. We're happy with both of these kids. And he's a great little boy. He sleeps too, but when he's hungry, and he's always hungry, folks, he absolutely throws a fit. He goes crazy and loses his mind.
I'm hangry today.
Yes.
24/7.
He eats at 7 days old, the amount that Rena ate when she was 3, 4, 5 months old. And so, like, it's wild how large this baby is. Like, all the clothes we bought, they do not fit him. Newborn diapers don't fit him. Yeah. He's wearing 3-month-old clothes. So it's a lot. It's a lot.
He's just already leapfrogged 3 months here.
Yeah. Like, Caitlin and I were so ready for, like, okay, let's try to get 1 ounce into him, you know? Like, no, he wants 5.
Oh, my gosh.
He wants 5, 6 times a day.
I'm waiting for that first checkup so they can be like, he's a 100% percentile.
Yeah.
This child is going
so
to be.
Big. He's so big. And it was funny. And I've told Gavin this, but now for the edification of the listeners, this is a look into Gavin and my texts, is that when he came out, the doctor looked at us and she goes, so we have a big boy. and she explained to us everything. And then as we moved through the hospital the rest of the day, every new nurse that we saw would be like, I hear we have a big boy, like they had been speaking amongst themselves about the size,
There's a big one.
the size of the child moving through the hospital. Yeah. So it's been a lot. Yeah.
Do they talk about this just because you don't want to body shame the child at such a young age? Or well, there's a big one. We have to tell you that you need to keep feeding this child because he's going to scream. I know he's going to scream.
I just think like it's outside of the norm, and they're used to seeing 6 to 8 pound babies, and so when they get one that's just like some gargantuan long monster.
16.
You got to see this kid's fingers, folks. They're huge. It's like he could play piano now. You know what I mean? It's wild. His feet are large. It's almost Rena's size, and she's almost 2 years old. Like,
oh my gosh,
he's just a large baby. It's very strange, and I have these visceral. He looks so much like Rena. I get these visceral reactions of like Caitlin just passing him to me, and it just looks like Rena. And the last time I was doing this stuff, which when you have a second child, you've forgotten all the newborn stuff.
Yeah,
but it's just sort of like riding a bike where this rote muscle memory just takes over.
Right back in it.
And you're like, okay, yeah, no, I am half awake burping a baby. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
The closest thing I can equate to that is the start of the legislative session. It's like, I'm back in this routine.
Your body's like, oh, right, I know how to do this. Yeah.
Oh, right, I'm crying every day.
It really is a fugue state. I mean, getting to come into work right now is a real break from my 3-hour cycle that just loops all day, every day. And people will be like, is Tuesday good to bring you food? And it's nice that you want to feed me and the family.
Yes.
We love that. But I don't know when Tuesday is.
When is Tuesday exactly?
What day is it now? I don't know. Are we going into the weekend? I don't know.
I'm like, AT, are you excited about snow this weekend? He's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, it's not.
Well, he also doesn't believe it's going to snow, folks.
It's not going to snow,
Let's
folks.
just all think about it and be positive and hope for the best. But
You Southerners romanticizing snow. Snow is terrible. Snow sucks.
It's okay if it's in and out, which hopefully it will be. Like, we're not doing how much, what were we talking about?
My in-laws up in New Jersey got 31 inches. And that is an untenable amount of snow. It's close to the amount. It was over 3 days, but we got about that. And that's what cinched it for me that I was moving to South Carolina.
There you go.
I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. Just like we're not doing this episode anymore. It's over, Gavin. We ended it. He's still got it,
He's
folks.
back, folks. He's back. Oh, boy. Well, welcome back, AT. Welcome, Dom. We can't wait to meet you and get you on the board. Punching the show. But you guys give us a shout, give us some baby love, give us some thoughts on what AT should be doing and feeding his child.
Second baby advice, please.
This big boy. Maybe you were a big baby. Where are you now? 803-563-7169. We need to talk to you. You can also show us your appreciation by leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get podcasts. And you can stay up to date with the latest news on SCETV.org and SouthCarolinaPublicRadio.org. And don't forget to support your local newspapers. The South Carolina Lead is a production of South Carolina Public Radio. Our producer is A.T. Shire. Amy Crouch is our supervising producer. Sean Birch is our executive producer. This podcast is produced with support from PRX and is made possible in part by a grant from the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation, as well as listener contributions to the ETV Endowment of South Carolina. For the South Carolina Lead, I'm Gavin Jackson. Be well, South Carolina.
Pizza in the morning, pizza in the evening, pizza at supper time. And for dessert.
Yeah, I was born a big baby. I'm skinny now, though. That's a good bet.